What is going on? I'm the Ink Doctor, and this is part 2 of training for the Gourmet World arc of Toriko. We're just going to get straight into the first arc, which is the Shining Grammy arc. Toriko and Komatsu are with Sunny, and Toriko asks if he wants to come along and get one of the ingredients that Ichiryu has for them, the Shining Grammy. Sunny says that it's located in a place called Death Fall, which is a waterfall with a thickness of 1 kilometer, and it has the amount of water that falls around 1 trillion liters per second, which they would have to get through in order to get to the Shining Grammy. They agree to work together, and Sunny introduces his new animal partner, Queen, a mother snake from the Gourmet World. Right now it's just a kid, but once it's full grown it'll be as big as the circumference of the earth. They hop on Queen and make their way to Moore's Mountain. Once there, Toriko and Sunny talk about how they have leveled up. Sunny has increased his feelers to about 300,000, and his dining kitchen ability has increased to a range of 50 meters. Lastly, he has an improved move now called Super Spatula. They start to try to get through the waterfall by using attacks. Toriko uses a leg knife and an 18-fold spike punch, but is unsuccessful. Now it cuts to a flashback when Sunny went to Three Roads Hell to meet Goemon of Biotope 0 to be trained. Dude seems to be just like spaced out when Sunny shows up, but then a beast shows up and he just one-shots it and his looks spaced out while he's doing it. Goemon basically teaches Sunny a simplified version of Ultra Instinct, is like the best way I can describe it, and it's called Instinct or Intuition. Back in the present, Toriko uses a double 18-folded spike punch with both hands to blast through the waterfall, and Sunny is surprised that after seeing it one time, Toriko is able to learn Instinct. Just then, Queen senses that something is coming. Turns out to be an entire mountain is about to fall down the waterfall. Toriko tried to use a leg knife on it, but it leaves like the tiniest scratch in comparison. In the end, they use a combo attack with Toriko using a 36 twin spiked punch directed towards Sunny, who then uses Super Spatula to redirect it at the mountain, obliterating it. And with that, the three made it inside the waterfall, but Toriko and Sunny are exhausted, so Komatsu goes to find the Shining Grammy. Making his way through the cave, Komatsu uses milk dust to light his way, and I just gotta say, I don't know why he has so many plates with him. Like, I understand he's a chef, but so many. And after being scared of his own shadow, he finds where the Shining Grammy is. The first one he catches spoils right after he tries to touch it. He quickly realizes that it's a special prep ingredient. He catches 2 more, and they both spoil. He finally figures out how to catch them by getting in the water, which turns out to be oil. He comes running back to Toriko and Sunny with a bunch of Shining Grammy. So some more info on the Shining Grammy. Toriko and Sunny actually wouldn't have been able to catch it if they went. Their strong presence would have shocked it, spoiling it, since they have no natural predators. Once they get out of the cave, Komatsu tells them all about what happened. Komatsu then cooks up the fish, and after seeing that the oil hasn't changed color or deteriorated any type of way, turns out it's an unknown oil, and this is the first ingredient that Komatsu discovers, naming it Moore's oil. They eat, and after sprinkling some milk dust on it, Sunny levels up. And that is it for the Shining Grammy arc. Now we can get into the manga. As you see here, at the little bottom panel on the left is when Komatsu's walking along by himself. Instead of leaving it on plates, he just like dumps it on the floor, which is on the ground, which is kind of funny. And then after they get out, he tells them about what happened. He's like, I tried to eat them, not to be wasteful. And he was like, it tasted so bad that it was impossible to do. So, that's really it for that, and now we can get into the Meteor Garlic Arc, which introduces the antagonist live bearer of this arc, and he is a dark chef that is ranked 17th in the IGO chef rankings, although he's not, you don't have to be affiliated with the IGO to be in the chef rankings. As we'll see in the next arc, there's someone that's not even in the human world that's in the chef rankings. But the only other thing is his neck is black in the anime, but if you look at the manga, it's actually supposed to be he has a full body sleeve tattoo, but censorship or animation restriction, whatever. And then the only other thing is a super special prep ingredient, which is just a step above a special prep ingredient. They're going to be talking about 2 ingredients that are that. But let's get into the Meteor Garlic Arc. This arc begins in the Gourmet Corps headquarters. Tamirada is fully healed and his cells have evolved. They are talking about abducting chefs to work for them that are at 7-star or above establishments.
Sturgeon thinks that's a stupid idea, saying that even below 7-star and even below the top 100, they're amazing chefs. And we all know he's talking about Komatsu. With Komatsu, he's reading the monthly Gourmet, and he sees his friend that he went to culinary school with, a guy named Otake, who is now ranked 99th. Komatsu pays Otake a visit at his restaurant. They catch up, and after talking, it seems like the two aren't the same as when they were in school. Their philosophies have become very different. Komatsu eats his food, and it's not very good. He also sees Otake bribe a reporter to boast about his food. The two argue that just because you have high-level ingredients doesn't make you a good chef, and that bribing your way to the top is wrong. Also, Otake doesn't respect the patrons of his restaurant. Just then, both the chefs and a lot of other high-class chefs around the world feel some sort of sensation like when they hear the voice of the ingredient. Eventually, Komatsu leaves disappointed that his friend has changed, and the last we see of Otake, you see a GT robot come to get him. Meanwhile, Toriko and Coco are at Biotope 8. They are there to get Ichiru's full course. Each Biotope has one ingredient from his full course. And a little bit about it, like a little bit of a spoiler, his full course is not like any other. It is a unique one that they will get into in the next saga. But back to Toriko and Coco, they get to where the appetizer is, and it is in this giant chest guarded by a capture level 74 Barjour Cork, like a giant two-headed chicken. Coco dons his new poison armor and sword, and in one shot fells the beast. After 3 32 twin spike punches, Toriko is able to open the chest, and this is when all the chefs feel the ingredients. Inside the chest is some sort of seed. They try to go talk to Ichiryu about it, but he's gone. Komatsu, Toriko, and Coco meet up at a Gourmet Barber, and they talk about getting all but the dessert of Ichiryu's full course, which is in Biotope 1, which makes sense seeing that Biotope 1 is the biggest one, and they just can't find it yet. Toriko says that he brought the seed to Setsuno, and she says it's a million seed. That's not technically an ingredient, but more of a tree that's found in the gourmet world, and it's not even that rare. The last thing she says is that it's speaking to somebody, like when the ingredients speak to chefs, and Komatsu says that he heard it and wants to cook it, and this is the end of this portion of the arc. Now, on a train, Toriko, Komatsu, and Coco are making their way to the Gourmet Casino to get one of the training ingredients, the Meteor Garlic. After arriving and stopping a guy who stole money, they run into Match, and he has become the leader of the Gourmet Mafia. He's there to rid the narcotic ingredients that are making their way to Nerg. He then tells them of the person who runs the casino, a dark chef named Livebearer, who probably knows about the ingredients that they're looking for. They go into the casino, and after winning big at some of the games, Coco plays a 100-wheel slot machine, winning big at that. They win 1 trillion yen worth of ingredients and get invited to the VIP area, where instead of betting money, you bet ingredients. Match sees the ingredients that he's looking for, then Livebearer appears and invites the group to the underground VIP arena. Once in the area, the rumors that Coco heard are confirmed, that people bet using their food memories. Finding that out, Toriko asks if Meteor Garlic is one of the memories that Livebearer possesses, and he says he does. Toriko agrees to play the game with them. They go to the gourmet tasting room to play food concentration. It's basically like a card matching game. Each card has a different point value on it. If you match, you eat the ingredient that's on the card and you get the points. You get the point value on the card in minutes to prepare and eat it. You can pass on the ingredient, but if you do, your opponent gets the points, and if you pass 2 times in a row, you lose the game. Also, if you don't match 10 times in a row, you lose as well. If you do match, you get another turn up to 3 times. Lastly, there are 2 joker ingredients that if successfully eaten, you can swap an ingredient for an opponent's, and both would have to consume the swapped ingredient, and if you don't, the opponent gets the points and vice versa. Once all the cards have been matched, the person with the highest points wins. So playing against Livebearer is Coco, while Toriko eats the food and Komatsu cooks the food. We know that Toriko is here for the Meteor Garlic, but Coco wants info on Acacia's full course drink, Adam. Let's get into the game now. Coco's first hitting 3 in a row, cherry apples 10 points, smashroom 20 points, and watermelon clam 10 points. Livebearer hits sausage worm 50 points, man face mushroom 70 points, and melon egg 100 points. Coco next matches mountain pudding 150 points, summer whiskey 50 points, and bullet acorns 70 points. After seeing Komatsu cook, Livebearer starts to become infatuated with him and wants his memories. Livebearer matches Rockadillo, 70 points, River 6 Poison Lizard, 150 points, and a Garlic Crab, 200 points. Coco goes out for the first time, and it's shown that Livebearer is wearing contacts, letting him see the cards. He chooses Rock Potato, 60 points, Brain Urchin, 30 points, and Shock Lemon, 200 points. Coco goes out again, unfortunately. Livebearer chooses Flavor Ant, 40 points, Bubble Abalone, 20 points, and Golden Shrimp for 200 points, making his score 1190 to the group's 310. Coco matches Atlas Crab for 30 points and then goes out after getting a card with a Poison Potato, which is a super special preparation ingredient. Coco said it has 20 times the poison in it as a puffer whale, and he doesn't even have the antibodies to eat it, and no one has ever successfully removed the poison completely. The other card he tries to match it with is another super special preparation ingredient, Nitro Cherries, said to detonate even with the slightest of movement, and both cards are only worth 10 points. Both go out a couple times and all the cards are finally shown. Coco goes and matches the Joker, Hanya Panda. Toriko beats the beast and secures the points. Then they swap the Garlic Crab for the Summer Whiskey. Coco purposefully takes it out, and so does Livebearer. Coco hits a Dragonfire, 30 points, Troll Cheese, 10 points, and the Nitro Cherries for 10 points. Unfortunately, Komatsu is unable to prepare the cherries in the amount of time, and Toriko just straight eats it up, blowing up his insides. Since it was a Joker, they swap the Shock Lemon for the Hanya Panda. Livebearer passes on the Hanya Panda, so the group gets the points for both ingredients, putting the score at 1290. Livebearer hits next the Electric Banana for 180 points and then goes out. Coco then chooses Rock Lizard for 50 points, Urchin for 10 points, and Scissor Snake for 10 points, leaving the last ingredient being the Poison Potato. Livebearer isn't worried about eating the Poison Potato until Coco makes him think about the things he's eaten and in what order, making a bad food combination for the Poison Potato. So the 3 things that he ate that made a bad food combo was the Golden Shrimp, Summer Whiskey, and the Electric Banana. Coco then explains that Toriko has eaten a good food combination consisting of the Dragonfire and the Troll Cheese to prepare him for the Nitro Cherries. Thinking that he can just shut off his pain sensors, and since his organs are lined with a biodegradable plastic, he can just eat the potato. Coco tells Livebearer otherwise, saying that the cheese he ate with the whiskey breaks down biodegradable plastic. Being a sore loser, Livebearer starts a fight. An all-out brawl commences with Match and his guys versus Livebearer's minions. Coco fights Livebearer, beating him with little effort, and Komatsu brings out the Poison Potato, and Coco tells Toriko that the last 3 ingredients he ate were to prepare him for the potato. Toriko eats it and not only levels up, he gets jacked, and Komatsu's reaction's funny as always. Coco knew that Toriko would be compatible with the potato. When looking through Livebearer's archives, Toriko comes across a person that he found interesting but is interrupted by Match, who says they have found the real Meteor Garlic, and you don't get to find out who it was that Toriko was interested in. Komatsu takes the Meteor Garlic, and with the help of Livebearer, who has turned a new leaf, remembering how he was when he was a new chef after seeing how hard Komatsu is trying to prepare the Meteor Garlic. Once done, they bring it to the table and it shoots up into the sky, exploding like a firework. Then it turns out that the most inside part is the only edible part. It's so damn tiny. All that work for like a literal piece of garlic. When they eat it, everyone gets extra swole, and Livebearer like doubles if not triples in size. Coco gets the swollest and levels up since he is very compatible with it. After, Livebearer turns over the casino to Mach and tells him he can do as he pleases with it. Then tells Coco that the info he seeks may be found with a man named Joey, the Dark Chef. The group makes their way to the King of Jadal's palace, but it's empty when they arrive. Elsewhere, Ichiryu has made it to the headquarters of the Gourmet Corps. He wants to talk to Midora, but the underlings give him a hard time. Eventually, Midora comes out to talk, and we finally get to see what he looks like. Ichiryu says he wants to sit at the table again together, and if possible, find and eat God. Midora refuses, and Ichiryu leaves. Once back in the human world, we see Ichiryu preparing by consuming a bunch of Setsuno's food.
And that is Meteor Garlic. So in the manga, you can see here that instead of Toriko saving the guy, they just shoot him in the head to get the money back. Here's just a full panel of Live Bear's entire sleeve, what it looks like. I just forgot to take that out instead of putting it in the front. See, when Coco does the slot machine, he chooses the meat because it does a time 1,000, or not 1,000, 1 million multiplier. And then you can see right above where Komatsu's looking at it right here, there is a little Setsuno looking head, and you can get a little bit better picture of it right up here in like the second panel on the left. That I didn't even realize that was Setsuno's head until I was like literally starting to do this video, and I was like, is that? Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's Setsuno's head. That's funny. I was like, that's kind of funny. And then lastly, I didn't put it in the breakdown because it really doesn't have anything to do with the story, but that is the King of Jadal. And when they go, before they go to the castle, he's there, he's eating a oyster, and then the lady's like, he's like, you didn't put this thing on to whatever. And so he's like, throw her in the dungeon, but in the anime, he's kind of just like, shoo, like, go away. You know, and now we can get into the Bubble Fruit arc, which introduces a character named Master Chin. His whole name is Chin, which I find funny, but he is the one that's going to be teaching Toriko and Komatsu about food honor and about food immersion or food's end. And so food honor is basically just like a philosophy or an etiquette practice that makes the food taste better, and you can eat certain ingredients. It makes it able to eat certain ingredients. Like they have special prep, they have special savory ingredients, which if you don't eat it a certain way, you're unable to eat it. So that's basically honoring the food, or food honor, which leads into food immersion. And food immersion is it's like when it's basically like the food, you are 100%, you are max grateful for the food, and the food is max grateful in turn to you. It absorbs into your body more nutritiously, I guess is a way of saying it. And it also makes it so like Toriko's calorie intake is, like 3.5 mil, and he can store that many. This makes it able for him to store even, like, not even more, just like a whole shit ton more, because you'll see that in there, Master Chin actually weighs over 1 ton, he says in there. So that's food immersion, or food's end. And then you get the first glimpse of a revival knife, which is a special type of knife that is forged using organisms with regenerative functions, or materials that can awaken those regenerative functions. And it is used to so in the anime they show you, it's like, if you cut an apple this certain way, like in its cells, it'll regrow that portion of the apple. That's basically you can just pretty much cut something and reuse it over and over and over again. And that's why the IGO has put a ban on the dark techniques used to use the dark techniques to use the revival knives, because they don't want people just constantly reviving animals over and over and over again. So with that, we can get into the Bubble Fruit arc.
Toriko is in the artisan forest looking for a fortune-telling sushi chef named Monchi to help find the 6th ingredient on Ichiryu's list. After fending off a capture level 35 devil plant horse, he finds Monchi. He tells him he needs help divining an ingredient, saying that it seems that Coco isn't able to. Monchi tells him he will need some special ingredients to divine something in the Lost Forest, and if Toriko gets the ingredients, he will make him a fortune roll. Toriko sends for Komatsu, and they meet at Biotope 2, which is a facility devoted to the study of seafood. While eating, Toriko tells Komatsu about where the ingredient he is looking for is, the Lost Forest, said to be the largest forest in the human world. He tells Komatsu about Monchi and his need for special ingredients to make the fortune roll that is 100% accurate. Then, an IGO employee comes and tells the two that Ichiryu says that the stew pond has frozen over. Ichiryu wants them to capture what they call the mistress of the pond, Madam Fish. Ichiryu also orders all 4 kings to take on this challenge. All show up to the stew pond and start fishing for the madam fish. Everyone goes to their own area that they think is lucky to find the madam fish, but first, Zebra comes to tell Komatsu about his full course so far. Fishing with no success, the 4 kings move a couple times. Then he keeps pulling these funny looking beasts that he says are gross. Eventually all 4 make their way to where Komatsu has been fishing the whole time. With Komatsu's food luck, he is able to catch the madam fish. And to be honest, when I saw this, I thought it was going to look completely different. Like, not saying it's ugly, just so it's not a beautiful fish like they say it's supposed to be. They're going to use this as one of the ingredients for the fortune roll. Next, Toriko and Komatsu make their way to the Spirit Archipelago to Firewater Island to get some king vinegar. After going around drinking on the island, they run into an emerald dragon captured level 78 that Jiro has knocked and is bathing on the top of its body. They drink and talk to Jiro, and then it just cuts to them giving the wine to Monchi. He still needs more filling, so Toriko and Komatsu talk to Teppei, and he tells him about an ingredient he has recently revived, a Durin bomb, which is the stinkiest ingredient in the world. It's said that when the fruit ripens and it falls, it releases a strong odor that kills any vegetation or wildlife in a 100-kilometer radius. The closer they get to the Durin, the funnier the faces they make. They get there and their clothes melt off as the fruit knocks them out over and over again when it falls. After a month later, they are finally able to get back to civilization with the Durin. Now all they need is the seaweed to make the sushi roll. They make their way to Simple Diet Hill on Terry, who has gotten gigantic. They run into Takimaru and the leader of the Gourmet Knights, Ai. The next day, Takimaru takes them to Eco Village, and they meet Monchi's brother, Nonchi. After helping the town, they get the seaweed and return to Monchi. 3 days later, after wrestling the ingredients, Monchi has finished the fortune roll. It falls in the direction that they must go, and they eat their way to the end. On the way, Toriko tells Komatsu about the ingredient they're looking for, the bubble fruit. Just then, they see that a big portion of the roll is missing, along with a part of the forest. They turn around to see a shitty ninja taking a piece of the roll and running away. They follow and find the Vanishing Japanese Cuisine Restaurant, a legendary restaurant that is said to be hard to find and is also a 10-star restaurant. As they try to go inside, it vanishes. Komatsu sees somebody eating outside now, and he tells them to pay their respects, and the restaurant reappears. They are greeted by Chiru, head chef of the restaurant, as well as ranked 15th in the chef rankings. Chiru tells them that they can find the bubble fruit at the Vanishing Temple. This is also where they learn about special savory ingredients. They try and eat the food, but are unable to do so. Then they meet Master Chin, and he brings them to the Vanishing Temple. They are attacked by the temple itself, and Master Chin tells them to show their etiquette and they will not be attacked. Once inside, they meet Assistant Instructor Shu, and Master Chin tells them that if you want to be able to eat the bubble fruit, they'll have to learn to honor the food. First thing they do is, Shu and Toriko spar, and Toriko eventually forfeits. Shu tells him that he has a lot of wasted energy when he fights, and if he masters honoring the food, he will be able to produce stronger attacks while using less energy. Next, he does a chomping contest with Komatsu, and Komatsu loses, saying he also does wasteful movements. With that, their training begins, and after a couple days, Toriko can use knife with little effort, and Komatsu can prepare a puffer fish no problem. After even more training, all the tasks that they have been doing have become like second nature. Toriko can now use knife with no effort, and Komatsu's cooking skills have greatly improved. They have mastered honoring the food and are able to touch the bubble fruit that ends up being an imitation fruit. Master Chin says he will take Toriko to where the real bubble fruit is. They start walking, and walking, and walking. Eventually, Master Chin tells Toriko he must master Food's End, and Toriko wonders why it looks like Chin haven't lost any weight the entire time they've been walking, and he tells him that right now, even though it doesn't look it, he weighs around 1 ton, and they continue walking. Eventually, Toriko goes into autophagy, but that doesn't last long, and Toriko collapses. On the verge of death, Toriko is thanking all the food he has ever eaten, and finally the real bubble fruit appears. He eats, and he learns Food's End. Master Chin leaves to deal with what's happening at the temple. What's happening at the temple? It's being attacked by Chiyo and Otake, with an ogre and a skeleton bird. Chiyo takes out one of the assistants in one hit, and Otake stabs Komatsu with a revival knife. And the reason why he looks like that is because he's been infused with gourmet cells. Master Chin shows up and becomes Swole Chin, and he starts to fight Chiyo. Then, Super Saiyan 3 Toriko looking ass shows up, and Chin locks himself with Chiyo in his spoon dome. Toriko fights the ogre, and Spike punches it into oblivion. Then, the spoon dome opens. Defeated by Chiyo, Chin falls to the ground, and now it's Toriko versus Chiyo. Toriko's newfound powers breaks her knife, and he has a new move where he covers his hand with his forks. She pulls out her favorite knife, but is interrupted by Starjin, who is Take's partner, saying they got what they came for, and the Gourmet Corps takes their leave. Master Chin is saved by Chiru, who uses some revival knives and a dark technique. Then he tells the group that the reason why Chiyu joined the Gourmet Corps was to find Acacia's appetizer, Center, which has the rumor of being able to bring the dead back to life. She wants it to revive her son, which also turns out to be Chin's son. He tells him that he's already informed Biotope Zero of the situation, and with that, Toriko and Komatsu leave the temple. We cut to Biotope Zero, where Ichiryu has called a meeting. He says that the Gourmet Corps has found out about Center and suspects that they may have a mole among them. He says there's nothing they can do about it, and to move on, saying that they are going to gather Acacia's full course before the Gourmet Corps can do so. Leaving out, Ichiryu is informed that the Four Beasts will awaken soon. This is the Four Kings' final training ingredient. He is also informed that the cooking festival is about to start, and the chefs will need protecting. Kosairo volunteers for that job.
Okay, and now we can get into the Bubble Fruit manga. So, in the anime, Toriko's like, I don't know where the Bubble Fruit is. I know it's in the Lost Forest, whatever. In the manga, he knows that he knows about the temple. He knows that's where it is. He knows about the master. He knows about Master Chin there. As you can see here, they're talking about it. And in the next panel, like, yeah, see, he knows where it is, all that. So he's just telling Komatsu about, where they're going to go to get it and trying to find, I guess it's trying to find where to get to the Lost Temple. And here you just see, instead, when they get attacked by the temple when they first get there, Toriko gets his whole foot, he gets stabbed in the foot by the temple instead of just, then you can see Komatsu's face there again. Oh, love the way the artist drew his face every time he reacts to something. And then when I can never get her name right because there's so many Chiyo comes to attack. You don't see this, but she literally fillets this dude's arm off, like in one hit, which is crazy. But lastly, well, I don't even know if it's last. I think there's one more panel in here, but you see, like, before he's like punches the ogre, he literally just slices its whole arm off in like a bunch of fillets before he destroys this ogre. And then, yeah, see, lastly here, when Chiru saves Chin, he goes into what a revival knife and how, and like I said down here, instead in the manga, instead of using an apple, they use an actual beast, which, I don't know, censorship or whatever, but yeah, so let's see if there's any, no. So yeah, that's it, and now we can get into second to the last arc, which is the Four Beast arc.
The IGO has called for a state of emergency. Even so, the Four Kings are chillin' and eating a meal. Komatsu is on his way with some bubble fruit that he has practiced preparing with Chiru. He meets up with Rin, and she shows him a new capture level measuring device. It can measure over capture level 100. They all group up, eat the bubble fruit, and level up. Then, they watch a video that Ichiryu left them, saying that the Four Beasts is as its name suggests, Four Beasts. He says that they will come from the same direction that they always come from, and the IGO has evacuated all people to the 1,000 kilometer center of the world. Each king will get a beast, and they have to not let them meet up. The last time the Four Beasts came, Ichiryu was the one to beat it by himself. The Four Kings move out, and we get a glimpse of each beast as they make their way to the center of the human world, devouring everything in their path. Toriko and Terry face off against the King Fang, capture level 127. Sunny and Queen face up against the King Octopus Kong, capture level 132. Coco and Kiss face off against Invite Death, capture level 140. And Zebra faces the Mountain Turtle, capture level unknown, because Zebra didn't use the new capture level device. After fighting for a while, they find out that the Four Beasts are actually just the limbs of an even bigger beast. The main body sends out the four beasts to devour humans. They also find out that somebody is controlling the four beasts. Eventually, all four beasts start to make their way to the center of the main body, which appears and starts devouring people. It absorbs the four beasts and reveals its true form and starts to spew out gas overhead, and then it starts to rain. Coco says this is bad. It's green rain, only found in the gourmet world. It's deadly to humans, and once you get wet, you'll die within an hour. The four kings face off against the four beasts, while Komatsu goes to meet with the Meal King Yuta, as he knows how to make food that will null the poison and will need help making it. Yuta says even if he wanted to go all out, he could only produce about 100,000. Just then, Setsuno and a bunch of other chefs show up to help. Yuta teaches them how to make the medical mochi. After learning, the chefs think that they still won't be able to make enough, only about 50 million, when they need about 500 million. They say they need to decide who to save if that's all they're going to be able to have. Dissatisfied with that, Komatsu asks to be given the chance to simplify it so that any chef is able to make the medical mochi. He asks for 10 minutes and to gather all the chefs that they can in the meantime. Luckily, Livebearer have brought in the poison chef, Thailand. He says he can slowly affect the poison rain for about 3 hours. Komatsu starts, the 10 minutes pass, and at the last second he's able to simplify the recipe. He then teaches around 5 million chefs to make the mochi. They get all the mochi they need made. The chefs are impressed that he was able to do it in such little time. Then Setsuno's assistant tells him he actually finished in 5 minutes and took the rest of the time to figure out how to make it taste good. Now, with the four kings. I'm not gonna lie, the whole time Komatsu was making the mochi, they were getting their asses beat. Eventually, they used an attack that Ichiryu showed them called Meal Fit for a King. It's the culmination of the four kings' appetite energy, and it looks like a gigantic, aggressive Pac-Man. It eventually eats the four beasts, and the battle is done. All the people that were eaten by the four beasts are safe, and the giant Pac-Man blob turns into a giant blob of meat that they cook and disperse around the human world. Elsewhere, Teppe has found the person who is controlling the four beasts. He confronts the figure, and it tells him that if he pries, he'll be killed. He wakes 3 days later in a research facility of Pukin. She says that he was found by other revivers. They talk and suspect that Pukin's master, Moyan Shishi, is the only person who could have revived the four beasts, but he has disappeared. Back with the four kings, they are celebrating their victory and celebrating finishing the lists that Ichiryu gave them. We end the arc with Toriko training, learning a new move called the nail gun. Komatsu gets a visit from G7, and my man is now ranked the number 88th chef in the entire world and is invited to the cooking festival. Lastly, in the gourmet world, the war for Acacia's full course begins, and we see the knife that Milk made for Ichiryu, and I gotta say, that's one boss-ass looking knife.
Alright, and while there's not many differences in the manga, there's not really any differences per se in the manga for this arc. I just thought it'd be cool to show this panel of when after they beat the beast. I thought it was just a pretty cool panel that they did. But you can see it's not really a difference. They just put in like a filler arc in the anime, but like in the manga, Toriko just is practicing and he's like, he creates this new move, which is the nail gun. And you can see here in these next couple of panels, instead of fighting that beast he does, he just like literally blows a freaking mountain straight up now, no problem, just destroying it. But as you can see, he can't use it more than like once or twice, maybe, probably at this point. And then here, it's just minuscule differences. Like when Komatsu found out he's the 88th ranked chef, now Toriko's not even with him. The G7 just comes to him by himself, and then you can see here he's like, oh, Toriko's like, oh yeah, he got in the ranking, but now he's in the cooking festival, and yada yada yada. So now we can get into the final arc, which is the cooking festival arc. And for this one, I'm gonna do it a little different because like this is right when Toriko's manga was it was like right at the point where the manga was not done before they completed the entire series. So it's like they kind of just, like what they do, they just go on their own tangent and do whatever they want, and they just made their own ending up. So like halfway, not even halfway, I'd like probably a third to a fourth of the way through the anime, I'm going to just switch to the manga. And the only character that comes up that'll be in there's a dude named Branch or Brunch. So many different ways of saying this dude's name, but he is the third ranked chef in the chef ranking, and he is also not human. He's a Tengu. So we will meet him, and let's get started on the anime portion of the cooking festival.
Toriko and Komatsu are living large, making their way to the cooking festival on Cooking Island, although Komatsu can't seem to relax. They have a lot of security at the festival, said to do with the abduction of chefs by the Gourmet Corps. They even have giraffe birds capture level 90 on the outskirts of the island to deal with invaders. Once inside, you see that there's only ever been 5 chefs that have been number 1, and I'm under the assumption that only the top 100 chefs are in the cooking festival. They start the festival and chefs start coming out one by one, with Komatsu coming out last and the announcer giving him a grand entrance, looking goofy as hell. The first event is a triathlon. Chefs have to swim around Tokoyaki Island, grab some ingredients, then bike halfway up the mountain, then lastly run the rest of the way, collect their cooking utensils, and make way to the arena. At the end, only 50 chefs who make the best food will move on. At the beach, the first event starts and the chefs enter the water. I don't know what Komatsu's doing. I don't know if he don't know how to swim, but he is struggling. Zebra helps him out using a voice life jacket, but after talking to Setsuno, Komatsu tells him he wants to compete on his own, using his own strength. Branch finally wakes up, and after talking shit with Zebra, he learns about Komatsu making his way to the first event. Komatsu finally makes it out of the water, with Brunch right behind him. Komatsu, as always, is star-struck by all the chefs that he admires. Unfortunately, when Brunch finds out he's Komatsu, the same can't be said about him, until Brunch sees how Komatsu interacts with the ingredients, and then is intrigued. Brunch decides to help out Komatsu to bring all the ingredients left with them. And when I say help, I really mean Brunch is riding with one hand while he's holding Komatsu with the other, and he's riding like a madman up to the top of the mountain. They get to the top and cross the finish line in front of Setsuno, Yudo, and Zaus. Komatsu is the first to cook, but he somehow didn't grab his milk knife, and everybody's shocked. Komatsu says he didn't grab it on purpose, thinking that it would be cheating, and Brunch is like, "You idiot." Komatsu makes what he calls beach fried rice and moves on to the next event. You see when his name gets announced to move on, he's overjoyed and can't contain himself. The second event is Death in the Balance Cooking, where 2 chefs face off to basically see who can cook their food the fastest and lighten their side of the scale. Komatsu is going up against Wabatora. Komatsu wins this event as well and moves on to the third event, Whole Cooking Island, which is exactly as it sounds. They're cooking an entire island. Komatsu makes his way past this event and makes it to the final part of the festival, where it's a final 16 style bracket cook-off, and Komatsu is put up against Zaus. Alright, and that is it for the cooking festival portion, the anime portion anyway. I was going to start doing the manga portion of this, but when I started to cut chapters, I was like, this is so long, I'm gonna have to make it an entire different video. So there's going to be a part 3, but it's gonna be all the cooking festival, and it's gonna be I think it's 50 chapters or so of the manga, so that's why it's so long. As of doing this right now, I've clipped 150 different pages. So next video will be the true ending of Toriko, of the Training for the Gourmet World arc. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for the manga portion of the cooking festival.